We're here live, but not really, at the Wooden Monkey restaurant in downtown Halifax. I'm here with City Council hopeful, Waye Mason. Thanks for coming by today.
Thank you.
Now, if I understand correctly, you've asked me to sort of step in as your cocktail stunt double, as it were?
I have. We had great hopes to make mint juleps today, but we're out of mint and, as you noted, julep.
Out of julep, yeah.
So,
it's out of season.
unfortunately,
It's out of season.
Yeah,
so
it's the wrong time of year. So
we're going to make, as your backup choice, one of my favorite cocktails that nobody's heard of. This is called the Toasted Russian. So we're going to start with a little splash of vodka. Just a splash. A little bit of Bailey's. Want to zoom in on the Bailey's here, just in case?
a little bit.
Just a little bit of Bailey's. Well, Bailey's is mother's milk, so it doesn't even count. And then actually just a splash of amaretto. A splash of Kahlua. And then just because we want to cut that down a bit, a little bit of blend. We're going to shake this up and then, just for fun, we're going to drink it. See how it is. If you want to impress the lady, you should put cherry or something in there. But real men don't need cherries in their creamy liqueured filled drinks, do they?
Yeah, I guess we'll find out if any show up.
You can have the full one there.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm a generous host. Now you've got to score this on a scale of 1 to 5 olives.
Aroma. Mouthfeel. Yeah, I could drink a lot of that. That's good.
So what's your verdict there? Out of 1 to 5 olives, 5 being outstanding?
Can I give 4.5 olives?
You
Are
can.
there half
Depends
olives?
really on whether they're pitted. Otherwise, it's really tough to cut.
All right, we'll say that 4.5 unpitted or pitted olives. 4.5.
Excellent. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Let's go back there and have a chat.
All right, great. Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. We're here with all-round entrepreneur, music guy, and candidate for City Council, District 7, Waye Mason. Thanks for staying.
Thank you.
District 7, what area does that encompass exactly?
It's most of the old South End Northwest Arm District and the southern 2/3 of the old downtown district. So it's, if you can imagine, it's Oxford to Jubilee, Quinpool all the way across Cogswell, up North Park, and then Cornwallis.
Did that section change much?
Oh yeah, it used to be that you had 2 districts on either side of Robie Street. Now they've been smushed together, so it's considerably larger than it used to be.
All the more people to vote for it.
Well, hopefully, that's
All right.
the plan.
You seem like a bright, likable fellow. Make a decent cocktail. Why would you want to get into politics?
That has been the response of a lot of people who know politics in Nova Scotia. It has been, oh, you're running for city council. Why on earth would you want to do something like that? But I think that the city is on a cusp of potential greatness or potentially really bad things happening. We've had probably at least 4 years, if not 8 years, of kind of a visionless, rudderless ship. We're just operating on inertia. So I think that we're going to have a new mayor. I think we need new people on council who can kind of deliver the vision that I think a lot of us have been waiting for if we've lived here, for the last 10 or 20 years.
On that note, did you consider a run for mayor, or you want to just get your...
I talked to people about it. I would say that I was near the top of the B list of people, but Mike Savage was always near the top of the A list for the entire time that I was talking to people the last 2 years. So I'm more than happy to run for council in the new District 7.
Is there anything specific that you saw or didn't see going on in the city that made you say, this sucks, I need to step up?
Well, I think the big thing for me is the tone on council, actually. It's not any individual project, though there's plenty of examples. There's the concert scandal, the Washmill overpass, it goes on and on and on. But as a blogger, I've been covering council for my own interest, and then recently with the CBC and with OpenFile, talking on the air and blogging about it. And you start going to the meetings and you kind of see what they're like when the mics are off and when the cameras aren't there. And they haven't quite twigged that every cell phone is a camera or a reporting device. And It's not positive. It's not constructive. Some of the councillors are very rude. Some of the councillors are very dismissive of one another. And so the thing that I've really come to believe is we need new personalities, if for no other reason, so that we stop fighting the same battles over and over and over again. They seem to have been fighting these last 8 years.
Can't we all just get along?
I don't know.
That's the question, really.
Yeah. Well.
If you could wave a magic wand, cut through all the bullshit, the red tape, the bureaucracy, and could change 3 things in the city today, what would they be?
We'd have a train to Bedford right away. I think mass transit is critical. That would be the first one. The second one is that we have a lot of rec centers that are falling down, and there's a lot of talk of building consolidated rec centers that would have, more 4-pads and more giant gyms, more Canada Game centers. And I think the city needs a couple of those. We need the sports plexes and Cole Harbour places. But what I'm concerned about is that we need to continue to maintain and invest in the small community centers, so that people, especially at the vulnerable and low income, can actually walk to these community centers, and that we have these services provided. And we're trying to create a sustainable city that isn't all about driving. And if you're going to build the gigantic centers that everybody has to drive to, then you're working against that part of the plan. And then I think probably the third thing would be that if it had the power of God, would be I think the community councils need more power to tax and spend. I think a lot of economic decision making should be happening more at the local level. I think that if the councillors who represent the peninsula had the power, they would have already invested the money from the taxes that comes from the peninsula in things like the Barrington Streetscape, the Spring Garden Road Streetscape, Quinpool Road. So, that's definitely returning some power to the local community councils so that people in Dartmouth can decide what's good for Dartmouth and have some money to spend to make that happen. And likewise the peninsula, and likewise Bedford. I think that's really important.
Very good. You're a big-time player in the music business around here. How? No, take my word for it. You are.
Oh, thank you.
How important do you feel the big A-list concerts are for the city, either in terms of economic benefit or in terms of just civic morale?
Well, that's when my blog went from being just me talking about what I had for breakfast and turned into a political blog, was the concert scandal. And before it was recognized as a scandal with the Rolling Stone concert back in the middle of the last decade. And I don't think government has any role in supporting private concerts in that way. I think that if there was a market for it, then the promoters would be renting the spaces and they would be delivering those concerts the way they do in Toronto or Montreal or Ottawa. Moncton's made some really good strategic investments, and the concert site in Moncton is the best thing and one of the only things that makes Moncton attractive as a summer destination. They've got Magic Mountain and Crystal Palace, and they've got this concert site. And in Halifax, the fact of the matter is our hotel rooms during the summer from May until about October are full. We have amazing events happening weekend after weekend after weekend, and sometimes without any government intervention at all, you actually see a concert on the Hill happen or a concert in Alderney Landing happen, and I think that's enough. I don't think we need to be spending taxpayers' dollars to have concerts.
As I'm sure you're aware, the Canadian Federation for Independent Business recently came out with their annual survey ranking Canadian cities in terms of their entrepreneurship. Very subjective ranking, I realize, but we were an embarrassing 77th. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know there was 77 cities in the country, to be honest. But as an entrepreneur yourself, how important do you feel it is to improve on this?
Well, hugely. I think that from development to starting new businesses to seeing the investment that the city, that the regional government should be making in supporting street-level businesses in those streetscapes we talked about, that Halifax has a reputation for just being slow, making slow decisions and being very slow to implement stuff. And, if we want to see buildings being built, if we want to see businesses thriving and surviving, I think that we need to see faster decision making. But more importantly, once we've done the research, we pass the plan, we say we're going to do a streetscape, most of those plans, they go on the shelf and nothing ever happens, and we need to actually be able to operationalize those things. And I think that's part of the entrepreneurial mindset that we need to have both in private sector and in government, that we need to actually be able to deliver and get things done.
I emailed the city recently and asked if they felt they were slow. You got to get back to me. But in terms of the entrepreneurship level or lack of it, do you think that plays much into the fact that so few immigrants come here, and so many of those that do within 12 months are packing up and heading west?
I think that's a small part of it. I think that we're still somewhat of an insular society, Atlantic Canada, Nova Scotia, and Halifax. and we do need to work on being more welcoming. At the same time, I think we're starting to see, or we have historically had some traction with some communities. I think that it's hard if you're one of a very small community to move here and feel at home, where in Montreal and Toronto and Vancouver, there's very large communities of, they have Little Italy and Little Portugal and that kind of thing in Toronto. But I think that if we could both, be more entrepreneurial, be more open and welcoming, and if we could actually focus on kind of growing the community specifically, I think we've got a strong Filipino community, we've got a strong Arabic community here, especially around both the Muslim community and the Lebanese Christian community. I think that if we kind of focus on the communities that have started to historically have roots here, that we could potentially see get some traction in attracting people here.
Speaking of entrepreneurship, you're working on your MBA at SMU in spite of your advanced age.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. How's that going? Enjoying that?
Yeah, I love going to SMU. I've actually been surprised. I was saying earlier that the problem with taking an MBA when you're working as an adult is that for that 4-month period of that semester, whatever I'm taking is the problem that faces me at work. When I was taking organizational behavior, everything was an organizational behavior issue, and now I'm taking managerial accounting, and so I'm able to apply the class right away to that. So I've been loving going to St. Mary's. It's been great.
Excellent. There's a guy, Steve Jones, who is taking his MBA at SMU right now, and I actually went to high school with him. We had a math class in a grade 12 afternoon Friday class. Every time I would miss that class and the teacher would call roll call, he'd say, "I'm sorry, Paul, to go to the liquor store." Has he ever pulled that crap with you?
No, I haven't. That has not yet happened.
All right, good to know. All right, how do folks learn more about you and your campaign and what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, we have a really great website, and I've always been a bit of a nerd, so I'm all over Twitter and Facebook. So if you go to waymason.ca, the website's there. Social media is twitter.com/waymason and facebook.com/votewaymason. But mostly it'll be, I'm going to be hopefully knocking on your door. We've already knocked on a couple 100 doors in the neighborhood, and I'll be going out 3 or 4 times a week for the next 8 months. And certainly send me an email if you want me to drop by. I'd love to talk to anyone who wants to talk about city politics.
Great. Thanks for dropping by today.
Great, thank you.
And hope to see you back before the election.
Great, no problem.
No.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you, guys.
That must have been for you.